Have you ever felt like learning English is too hard? Have you ever asked yourself, why do I forget words so quickly? Or why do I feel stuck? If so, you're definitely not alone. Welcome to English in Brazil, the podcast and YouTube channel where we make English simple and fun. I'm Carina Fragozo, your English teacher, and today we are talking about the challenges of learning a new language. But wait, we won't just talk about the usual problems. Instead, we will explore how language learning can shape our habits, our mindset, and even our confidence. Hello and welcome! Esse é o primeiro de 7 episódios de podcast com vídeo, áudio e texto em inglês e em português aqui no English in Brazil. Nessa série você vai poder ter um gostinho da metodologia English in Brazil com uma imersão em inglês adaptada para o seu nível e com muita prática guiada. Deixa eu te explicar como tudo vai funcionar. O conteúdo que você vai acompanhar agora está no nível B1, intermediário, mas eu vou falar de forma clara e tranquila para que mesmo os aprendizes do básico consigam acompanhar e se desafiar. Se você quiser baixar o PDF com o texto desse podcast em inglês e português, junto com exercícios para esse episódio para estudar, é só clicar no link aqui na descrição. Switching back to English now. Before we dive into the episode, let me celebrate the fact that we have just reached an incredible milestone: 2 million subscribers on the English in Brazil channel. This is a huge achievement, and I couldn't have done it without you. As a special thank you gift to my amazing audience, I'm launching this new podcast series that many of you have been asking for. A fully English experience designed to help you improve your listening and reading skills. Specifically aimed at basic and intermediate levels, A2, B1, and B2. This podcast is designed to be a free learning resource that you can listen to and study at your own pace. Along with each episode, you'll have access to both the text and audio so you can follow along and reinforce your understanding. At the end of every episode, I will ask you 3 comprehension questions to test what you have learned. I will also highlight some keywords from the episode to help you expand your vocabulary. Without further ado, let's get started and take one more step on your English learning journey. Learning a new language is not just about memorizing words and grammar rules. It's about developing new habits and creating a new way of thinking. You don't just wake up one day and magically speak English fluently. You need consistency, patience, and a positive attitude. One of the biggest challenges is not the language itself, but our own mindset. Many people say, I'm too old to learn, or I am not good at languages. But here's the secret. These thoughts are just habits of the mind. If you tell yourself you can learn and you take small steps every day, you will improve. Our brain loves patterns. It gets comfortable with what we already know, and learning something new feels like stepping out of our comfort zone. But the more you expose yourself to it, the more your brain adapts. Your mind starts recognizing patterns, and suddenly, things that seemed impossible start to make sense. A study titled Mindsets Matter for Linguistic Minority Students, published in the Modern Language Journal, explored how beliefs about language learning affect success. The researchers surveyed over 2,000 foreign-born university students in Canada who spoke English as their second language. They discovered that students who believed their language abilities could improve having a growth mindset felt less anxious and more confident about using English. This positive outlook led them to use English more often in daily life, which in turn enhanced their self-assessed proficiency. Interestingly, this effect was especially strong for students who had lived in Canada for less than 7 years. This suggests that adopting a growth mindset can be particularly beneficial for newcomers adjusting to a new linguistic environment. Now let's talk about habits. The book, The Power of Habit, explores how habits are formed and how they can be changed. It explains that every habit follows a simple neurological pattern called the habit loop, which consists of 3 key elements: cue, routine, and reward. Understanding this cycle can help us intentionally develop habits that support our goals, including language learning. The cue is the trigger that tells your brain to start a behavior. This could be something as simple as waking up, making coffee, or commuting to work. If you connect learning English to an existing habit, it becomes easier to stay consistent. For example, every time you have your morning coffee, you can listen to an English podcast. This routine is the actual behavior or action you take. This is where repetition and consistency play a crucial role. Instead of studying sporadically, commit to a short, manageable activity, like practicing 5 minutes of vocabulary or reading an article in English. Now, the reward is the benefit you receive after completing the routine. This could be a feeling of accomplishment, progress, or even a small external reward, like treating yourself to a break or listening to your favorite song. Rewards reinforce the habit, making you more likely to repeat it. Research has shown that habits formed with a clear cue and a satisfying reward are more likely to stick. By designing a habit loop around learning English, you reduce the reliance on motivation and instead create a system that naturally supports your progress. Another big challenge is confidence. Many people feel shy when they speak a new language, but here's the good news. Confidence is also a habit. It's natural to feel embarrassed when speaking a new language, but no one is judging you. People admire those who make an effort to learn. Even if you make mistakes, it's okay. Mistakes are proof that you are learning and improving. So start with small wins. Try saying one new phrase today. Small victories lead to big success. A study published in the Frontiers in Psychology found that learners with a growth mindset persist longer and enjoy the learning process more. This means that changing the way you view mistakes can help you learn faster and feel more confident. Researchers found that individuals who perceive mistakes as opportunities for growth rather than failures develop stronger neural pathways associated with language retention and retrieval. This shift in mindset fosters resilience and reduces language learning anxiety. Additionally, research in neuroscience shows that the more you expose yourself to speaking situations, the more your brain adapts, which helps reduce the fear of speaking in public. This happens because repeated practice strengthens the response of the amygdala, a part of the brain that plays a key role in emotions, especially fear and anxiety. A study conducted by Dr. Sean Bylock at the University of Chicago revealed an interesting finding. People who practiced speaking frequently, but in low-pressure situations, meaning moments where there wasn't much stress or judgment, like talking to themselves in the language they were learning or participating in controlled conversations, experienced a decrease in the brain's fear and anxiety response over time. In simpler terms, the more you practice speaking English or any other language, the more your brain gets used to it and realizes that speaking isn't as scary as it first seemed. This frequent practice helps you feel calmer and more confident when communicating, even in social or professional settings. So, if you're nervous about making mistakes or feeling embarrassed when speaking English, the best solution is to start small. Try practicing alone, reading texts out loud, or even talking to yourself. Over time, this kind of practice trains your brain to relax, making speaking feel much more natural and comfortable. Think about when you learned to ride a bike. You probably fell a few times, right? But you didn't quit. You got up and tried again. Learning a language is the same. The more you practice, the more comfortable you become. Another strategy backed by research is visualization. Studies in sports psychology show that athletes who visualize themselves succeeding perform better in real-life scenarios. Applying this to language learning, picturing yourself confidently speaking English in different situations can help your brain become more comfortable with the experience before it even happens. By combining visualization, low-stakes practice, and a growth mindset, you can steadily build your confidence in speaking English. Now let's test what you have learned today. Agora é hora de testar o que você aprendeu. Responda as perguntas e veja como está o seu entendimento sobre o episódio de hoje. Número 1. Qual é um dos maiores desafios ao aprender uma nova língua? A. Decorar palavras e regras gramaticais. B. Acreditar que é possível aprender e manter uma atitude positiva. C. Encontrar tempo para estudar todos os dias. Ou D. Ter acesso a materiais de estudo de alta qualidade. E a resposta é letra B. Acreditar que é possível aprender e manter uma atitude positiva. A justificativa está no texto. One of the biggest challenges is not the language itself, but our own mindset. Pergunta número 2. O que é o habit loop, o ciclo do hábito, segundo o livro The Power of Habit? A. Uma técnica de meditação para melhorar a memória. B. Um método para memorizar palavras mais rápido. C. Um padrão formado por 3 elementos: gatilho, rotina e recompensa. Ou D. Uma estratégia para estudar apenas quando se sentir motivado. E a resposta é a letra C. Um padrão formado por 3 elementos: gatilho, rotina e recompensa. A justificativa no texto é a seguinte. The book, The Power of Habit, explores how habits are formed and how they can be changed. It explains that every habit follows a simple neurological pattern called the habit loop, which consists of 3 key elements: cue, routine, and reward. Pergunta número 3. Segundo o estudo da doutora Sean Bylock, qual é uma forma eficaz de reduzir o medo de falar inglês? Letra A. Praticar apenas em momentos formais, como apresentações importantes. B. Evitar situações de conversa para não se sentir ansioso. C. Praticar com frequência em situações de baixo risco, como falar sozinho ou participar de conversas controladas. Ou D. Estudar apenas a gramática antes de começar a falar. E a resposta é a letra C. Praticar com frequência em situações de baixo risco, como falar sozinho ou participar de conversas controladas, como diz o texto. A study conducted by Dr. Sean Bylock at the University of Chicago revealed an interesting finding. People who practiced speaking frequently, but in low-pressure situations, experienced a decrease in the brain's fear and anxiety response over time. If you got them right, congratulations. If not, don't worry. Listen to this episode again and keep practicing. Agora anota aí as palavras e expressões de hoje. A primeira expressão é without further ado, que eu falei bem no comecinho desse episódio, que significa sem mais delongas ou sem enrolação. Essa expressão é usada para indicar que você vai parar de falar introduções ou detalhes e começar logo o que precisa ser feito. E é muito comum no início de apresentações, vídeos ou discursos. Eu falei no começo, without further ado, let's get started. Sem mais delongas, vamos começar. A segunda palavra de hoje é mindset, que a gente falou bastante e significa mentalidade. Então, é a forma que você pensa ou encara algo. Por exemplo, having a positive mindset can help you learn English faster. A terceira palavra é commute, que pode ser um verbo ou um substantivo, que significa um deslocamento diário. Você pegou essa palavra no texto? Então, como verbo, significa viajar regularmente entre a casa e o trabalho ou a escola. Por exemplo, I commute to work by bus. Eu vou para o trabalho de ônibus. E como substantivo, o trajeto entre casa e trabalho ou escola. Por exemplo, my commute takes 30 minutes. Meu trajeto leva 30 minutos. E a quarta expressão do dia é to step out of your comfort zone. Sair da sua zona de conforto. Então, é fazer algo que te desafia, né? Ou que você normalmente evitaria. Por exemplo, learning a new language requires stepping out of your comfort zone. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and keep practicing. I'll see you in the next episode, na semana que vem, aqui no English in Brazil. See you!